And we are live. So now let's get all the platforms going. So we got the IG, got the YouTube. Now we're just getting the TikTok. Q&A. Perfect. What up? You know, just a normal Friday night. Give me one sec. Just getting everything ready. All right. And we are we are locked and loaded. So yeah, we got today was a pretty decent day. nothing too out of the ordinary that was done. Went to the gym, then actually worked on the coaching program a bit, so recorded some lectures. And the main thing that I've been doing is I've been helping my mom. Actually, I'm trying to get her more into the business, so I'm actually helping her in the business and like helping her like upload lectures and stuff. So because I was thinking that I could hire someone for the business, so that could be something. But instead of just hiring someone, why don't I just like get my mom involved? So that's been the main thing that I've been doing, was just training her. So today I was teaching her how to upload videos to my school platform with my coaching program is. So that's the main thing that I was doing. And I said, okay, like once you figure this out, I'm gonna take you out to lunch. And yeah, I am taking her out to lunch to next week because she figured it out. So success was done there. And yeah, I've been realizing that this whole online content creation kind of journey, it's a different skill set too. And it's a different way of thinking. It's not really that much like physical work, but it's mental work. It can be mentally exhausting. You just have to be mentally sharp to be able to do it. But it doesn't drain me the same way that like seeing a lot of patients back to back to back does. So that is the difference that I'm finding. But I'm still being able to use this knowledge and the skill set to make differences, right? That's the ultimate goal behind it. It's just how we leverage that skill set. So, hey, what's up? Yeah, so pretty much today I've worked on some different lectures. The main lectures I did were some of the antidepressants. So I talked about Wellbutrin, talked about Auvelity, talked about ketamine, talked about ECT. No, I don't think I did ECT. That's tomorrow. Talked about yeah, some of the just the atypical stuff. So I'm gonna do a lecture tomorrow on ECT, on TMS. Those are gonna be the main things that we're gonna do. So yeah, that's the goal, because I'm trying to make this the best psych coaching program in the country. And so to do that, I'm gonna have to be very thorough with all the lectures that I include. So that is the plan, at least, behind it. So sorry, don't speak English means hi, oi, hi. Yeah. So this is normally a Q&A where when I log in, people will ask me different questions about like mental health, about psych meds. Because think about it, right? How often do you get access to a psychiatrist to be able to ask them questions? And like mental health is everywhere, right? If you think about it, I always tell people that if you look around you, 1 in every 5 persons is on an SSRI or some kind of antidepressant. Like it's a thing. So like I remember one time I was at the coffee shop just studying, and the people next door, like next to me, they started talking about psych meds out of all things, and they were mentioning like risperidone, and like they were on this and that, and like they were hospitalized here, and like I just kind of chuckled to myself, like I know what they're talking about. So yeah. All right, looks like we're getting locked in. Can you do a post on Prazosin for PTSD and nightmares? Also, Seroquel. Yeah, so I use Prazosin quite a bit. So I still need to do lectures for Prazosin in my coaching program, so I'll do that. But Prazosin, I used to use it a lot in the VA for PTSD treatment. That's the main thing that I used Prazosin for. Prazosin is nice because you can go all the way from 1 milligram to 16, so you can really have a uh, diverse dosage range, so you can get just be careful about hypotension. You don't want someone to be too not diluted, but like vasodilated, basically too lightheaded from Prazosin. That's the main thing. I used to use Seroquel a lot too in the VA, so both of those I've used quite frequently. Awesome. Looks like we got people rolling in. We appreciate it, of course. I have resistant OCD. I've tried psychotherapies and drugs for 3 years. Nothing. Any tips? It's hard to say because I don't know what you've tried and what you haven't tried. Probably just say don't give up, right? Sometimes you just have to find what works for you. That's the most important thing. Like that's what makes the main difference. You know, people always say I look tired. I don't feel like I look tired, and I don't feel tired. It's just that I think one, I have allergies, but two, it's just lighting too. The problem is all the lighting here is I'm in my parents' house, right? And the lighting is just like this yellowish lighting. Natural light is that's where I think I look the best. Uh, yeah, 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 definitely. But we don't have that natural light available. So, here's what we work with. Weight gain on Lexapro. It's a thing, but it's not like too much of a thing. Lexapro is one of the least likely to cause weight gain. So I'd say moderate likely. Moderate likely. If you want least likely antidepressants to cause weight gain, that would be Prozac, Viibryd, Trintellix. Those would be some of the top choices I would go with if I'm trying to avoid weight gain. Otherwise, all the rest of them can definitely cause weight gain. But just remember that just because there is weight gain, or so just because it can contribute to it, ultimately we all put the food in our mouth, right? So just remember that putting the food in our mouth is always our responsibility. So if you want to avoid gaining weight on psych meds, you want to make it as easy for yourself as possible. And the number one tip is just to not have access to high calorie foods. Like eat leaner, cleaner proteins, eat like lean vegetables. Like for me, I got rid of all the desserts in my place because I would always snack on those, and that was like the biggest weight causer for me. But because I would snack on those desserts, like it made it really hard to get leaner and to lose weight. And then, I was just like, you know what, like I'm just not gonna buy any more desserts. And I switched over to like a Greek yogurt recipe that I have. So the OGs will know, they've seen that. But since I'm doing that, like that pretty much started my dessert craving, and that's made a huge difference in for me getting lean. So basically the point is that if I like for me, like, because if I didn't have access to that food at home, then like I wasn't going to go out of my way to get it. So that could be a tip to avoid weight gain, is just to avoid like not having junk and snacks and stuff in the home. And like it's the easiest way to, rather than for me, like willpower, like it can be hard. So like if I walk past like something, that's tasty, like it's hard for me to resist it. So like just recently, my mom just came back from India, and she brought back a whole bunch of Indian sweets, and now I've been eating them every day. And so I have to be really mindful and like really budget it into my like daily calorie intake, because those are very calorically dense, and I think it's going to sabotage my weight, like summer body goals a little bit, because it's going to sabotage my goals because it's like easy extra calories. So that's the problem, right? And because I'm in my parents' environment, I can't control the home environment nearly as well as I can my own. So yeah, long point to basically, long story short, just control your environment. That's the easiest way to avoid gaining weight on a psych medication. Thoughts on Clozapine, please? So Clozapine is a antipsychotic, and it is really, really intensive. It's the best one for treatment-resistant schizophrenia. However, it causes a lot of side effects. So constipation is a big one. For example, I remember hearing this case from an attending I had who said like this. She used to work in some state facility in Atlanta, and she said that they used clozapine in that facility. And one time there was a patient who was complaining of stomach pain, but they didn't take it seriously because like the patient would make like a whole bunch of other complaints as well that were unfounded. But anyway, the stomach pain just kept, he said it kept getting worse, and then eventually, like I think they found him bottomed out or something, and so it turns out that he had a small bowel obstruction, and I think he had a rupture of his small intestine. And so what they found was that it was all poop that had been backed up from clozapine. So that's why it was a very significant thing. So I would definitely be wary of clozapine. Yeah, but it's definitely very worth it if you need to. Is Guanfacine safe med is more tolerable than Clonidine? Yeah, Guanfacine is better for it's less sedating. That's the main benefit of it. So I like it better during the daytime. But I like Clonidine if I'm trying to treat acute agitation for like let's say teens or like kids on the spectrum or ADHD kids, or if I want help with sleep. In those cases, I believe that Clonidine is better because you get that sedative benefit. What works with fluoxetine for treatment-resistant MDD? I'm on Vraylar, but don't like it. So you could add olanzapine. Actually, there's a olanzapine fluoxetine combo that's been shown to be efficacious in bipolar depression. So you could definitely try that one. That one's a good one that you can do. You can also do mirtazapine as well too. I mean, Vraylar's a decent option. Seroquel and Abilify are good too. Lithium you can use as well. So a lot of options there. Hydroxyzine works for some. Not all of us are climbing a wall. Yeah, it's decent. It can make people sedated though, but you can always get a higher dose as well. You just have to balance the anxiety benefit and the dosage benefit too. That's the main thing. Thoughts on sleeping pills? Do you think they can be bad in the long run? I do, yeah. Ultimately, natural sleep is the best. And like if any kind of sleep is forced, it tends to not go as deep or as helpful. Like even for myself, when I use melatonin, I find that melatonin causes me to be a lot more sedated in the morning if I take any more than 0.5 grams. And like I feel really groggy getting up, even if I've slept like 9 hours. So melatonin is basically the sleeping pills. A lot of them can cause that too. So, but some people I think they just need them. I have some patients who definitely need them. Uh, but ideal use would be as needed use. Hey, what's up, Churchy? I'm on Lamotrigine and it's ruining my memory. I don't know what to do. Yeah, so that is a thing with Lamictal. You often want to start at lower dose as possible. I've heard the memory thing before too. You just want to make sure you start at a low dose and titrate up slowly. Like maybe you want to start at like 25 or 12, even 12.5. That's the main thing. Just titrate slow and raise slowly. CBT or SSRI better for PANS OCD in young child? Well, if you have PANS, you definitely want to treat the underlying infection. And then once you treat the underlying infection, then, I mean, honestly, both. I would say PANS, though, it tends to be more severe. You might need to do an SSRI until the patient gets more stable. And then once they get more stable, then they can handle the CBT. Oftentimes, people can't handle a CBT. Thief Handle Shop, thank you for the sub. So how come a brain doesn't go back to homeostasis naturally after a mental illness kicks in? So it does, but it's just too much for it, right? It's like if you get a little cut, your body will go to, it'll try to fix it, right? But if you get shot, then it's too much for the body to handle. So it's the same concept. Roll out Autobots. Is Viibryd more likely to cause GI side effects than other SSRIs? I don't think it's more. I think there's a slight more likelihood of it. just because it's more serotonergic. But I think the designer SSRIs are overall less likely. Like Viibryd and Trintellix, I think they're overall less likely just due to their serotonin modulating activity. But all of them can cause GI side effects. Sertraline is the most likely. If there's not Viibryd, Trintellix is less likely as well because it's got some 5-HT3 antagonism. Is it true eating dairy before sleeping gives you nightmares? I don't think that's true. I think that's a desi wives' tale. Oh, rip. I was going to answer something and then it skipped over already. What does it mean when an intrusive thought repeats? I mean, that sounds like OCD. Like that's what that means, right? It's an obsessive thought. That's literally obsessive, right? You obsess over the intrusive thought. My AP Psych teacher told me that in high school. I mean, I don't know. I've never heard that personally, but I think there's a lot of people who believe a lot of stuff. Do you think Compazine helps a lot with nausea and stomach pain? Yeah, I think it's decent. I've never used it a lot personally, but like I know they use it a lot in the hospital. It's just one of those things that you probably don't want to be on long term. Is Buspar a good medication? Yeah, it's decent. It's decent for anxiety. Oh, rip! I already lost a lot of the questions. Yeah. So if you want me to see your stuff, I would definitely subscribe because then I can answer your questions in a lot more detail, and like I see your stuff stand out more than everyone else's. So definitely do that because then I can prioritize those questions too. I've had 4 months brain fog OCD, found to be iron deficient. Been on iron supplements, feeling much better. Doctor ordered Luvox. This should I start SSRI? Yeah, you probably won't. You probably get the best results from both of them. But the iron is definitely something you want to fix for sure, for sure. Love you though, nice Piggly Wiggly. Love you. They say that no treatment for personality disorders. Is that true? There's no like medication treatment, but meds can help with some of the symptoms, like the depression or anxious symptoms. And yeah, when are you gonna do subs only? Actually, maybe we should do that like tonight, or maybe this weekend. Yeah, we should do that. Maybe once we reach 70. How about we reach 70 subs, and then we'll do a sub only live. Does low B12 add to anxiety and depression? Yes. So B12 is used for processing and creating neurotransmitters. So if you don't have enough B12, you build up this thing called homocysteine, and that can be toxic in and of itself. But B12 is a cofactor that's used for neurotransmitter synthesis. So it definitely can add to it. Do I recommend TMS or Spravato? Oh, I already lost the question. Yeah, so I would definitely look at subbing too, right? As I mentioned. Otherwise, yeah. The whole point is for the exclusive. Yeah. What do you mean 70? Well, it's got to be decently exclusive. If it's just like two people, then like that's not really a live. That's just me yapping to myself. What's the correct dosage for NAC? So it's 600 milligrams twice a day to start, and then you can go to 1200 milligrams twice a day. That's the dose I use for OCD, 1200. Does Luvox always cause weight gain? It doesn't always. It can sometimes. I would say it's more moderate in the weight gain range, so it's not like super severe, but it's not mild either. Also, what meds do you like for OCD intrusive thoughts? I like Luvox. So whoever chose that, it chose a good choice. Are those glasses a joke? Well, if you are a regular in this chat, you will know the lore behind these glasses. So you could probably help explain it to our friend. Nice. We already got it. We got it. People know the lore. Subs for Lamictal. It gave me SJS, but worked at a low dose. You could always, honestly, if it worked, then you could honestly try it again too. Sometimes sometimes like the side effects just happen once, but they could happen. They could, I mean, go away a second time. You just make sure you titrate slowly. Lamictal SJS is often caused by quick titration. What do I think about Risperdal Perseris? I'm a psych nurse. It's my least favorite LAI. So I've never used it personally. So in our so when I was writing the lecture in our NP coaching program, I was actually doing some research on the Risperdal Perseris, and because I've only used the Consta, the 2 weeks one. The Perseris is the 4 week one. But I've never used it. I've only used Consta. So that's why I'm curious. What makes it your favorite or least favorite LAI? Thoughts on inositol for mental health? I know it helps with inflammation. I've never personally used it. So, yeah, I don't really know. I've never really used it, but I haven't really found, I don't know, I haven't found like a unique usage for inositol yet. But maybe there is one. I'm gonna write that down so I can look it up later. Yeah, I just don't know what like the unique usage would be. Like for example, the supplements I always recommend are omega-3s, like N-acetylcysteine, magnesium, L-theanine, but I'm not sure about inositol. Do I work with postpartum patients? I have, yeah. I remember one case I had was in postpart was in residency. I had a postpartum female, so I helped her with the a lot of postpartum anxiety that she had. And I've also seen postpartum psychosis as well. I had a patient who was bipolar, and then she started having psychosis episodes postpartum. So it's definitely a thing. Doc took me off B12 because levels were too high. I mean, they can be, but um, uh, yeah, B12 can be too high as well. If sorry, yeah, but the nice thing is that B12 gets flushed out in the urine, so it's really hard to overdose on it. Like you'll just pee it out. How did you get the motivation to keep going? Keep going for what? So that's the question. But basically, the way I think about motivation is there's two factors. You have the carrot and then you have the stick. So, you need the motivate. You need some kind of forward driving motion, right? Something to move towards. But then you also need that negative motion to also keep you going. So, for example, in med school, right? Like once you pay the loans off or once you sign up for your classes and you take out those loans, like now you got the stick behind you. Like I can't drop out of med school. Like I have to do it because now I've started the year. I'm 50 grand in debt, and if I don't go through, like I'm not gonna be able to pay off that loan. So like that's the stick. Like that's making sure you go, and then plus failing and tests and all that. So med school uses a lot of that kind of the structure. It uses that motivation to keep you going. Uh, but now, right? So there's definitely some of that stick motivation, right? Like obviously, if I don't produce content, if I don't work, then I'm gonna have to move into my parents' house permanently, and I'm not gonna be able to live my life in New York, right? So like that's the stick, so I can be financially independent. But then the carrot is, I want to accomplish things. I'm creating this coaching program. Like I want it to be the biggest thing in the world. Like I want to be more recognized, especially for my psychiatry work and knowledge. Like that's a motivator. I want to be able to help out my friends and family. That's a motivator. The intrinsic desire for success, that's motivating. And it's just fun. Like I think about life like a video game, and gaming. I love gaming, and if life, just like in games, you always level up your character, right? And like if a game's too easy, that's not fun. But it's fun to play a game because then you can keep on like improving in the game and fighting stronger enemies. So it's the same thing in real life. Like that's the motivation. It's just every day is a new game, or every day is the same game, and you're just bettering yourself each day, and you're just playing the game, and you're getting better and better at the game, and then you're accomplishing stronger and stronger things. So it's fun to play. The motivation to keep going. It's just like it's fun to play the game. All right, yeah. So I was yapping for a while. All right. So hey Carson, thank you for the sub. So if my Seroquel makes me feel nothing and doesn't help with anger, should I ask about Abilify? Uh well, it depends on what dose of Seroquel you're on. because sometimes people give up on meds too easily without being on the right dose. But Abilify can also be helpful. I do use it for mood stabilization. It can just be a little bit activating. But Abilify is helpful for anger. I like Seroquel a lot. Lamictal is a good choice too. Lamictal is solid as well. Let's see. So going through all the questions. Yeah, there's a ton. Man, we got 99 people in here. Do you eventually want to have kids? Eventually, but definitely not anytime soon. All right, good analogy, perfect. Thank you. What's the best for severe insomnia? So, I mean, for severe insomnia, that's where you go to stuff like Ambien and the Z drugs. That's where you go into that stuff, but that's not what you normally start with. But some people who are severe, like that's when you do like Lunesta and Ambien, maybe Restoril. Yeah. Any ideas on Clonopin? I've been on for anxiety. I mean, it's good. It's good because it lasts a while. It doesn't happen immediately. So, yeah, it lasts a while. Mouth breather. Actually, I don't mouth breathe, believe it or not. Well, you see this jawline? That's not a mouth breathing jawline, my friend. That is a nasal breathing jawline. In fact, at night, so actually, well, I tape my mouth. So all I do is nasal breathe. But I have a cat here, and unfortunately, my cat is, yeah. Would I be able to ZocDoc a psychiatrist and take anxiety meds? You will probably not. You'll just get a. I'll tell you, when I used to do, when I first started my practice, I was on ZocDoc a bit, and usually ZocDoc, any doctors on ZocDoc is very wary because people just come on just for meds and stuff. So you won't find the best quality on ZocDoc, I'll tell you that. I do tape my eyes, yeah, so I tape my eyes. Well, I tape my mouth, and then I tape my eyes. So that's why, yeah. Can diet alone fix or help some mental illnesses? Yes. Yes, it can. Keto diet, especially low carb, paleo, low inflammatory, all of those. Basically just cutting out crap foods. I personally like I like a low carb paleo diet. That's my favorite diet. Like I don't really eat carbs other than a little bit of sweets. Like for example, that my mom just brought from India, but like other than or like Greek yogurt. But other than that, I just eat protein and vegetables. Wellbutrin for panic disorder, hot topic. It's not really a hot topic, uh, but it's not really used for. It's not. Wellbutrin is not used for panic disorders. Why do I tape my eyes? It's because I have dry eyes, and so my eyes just get they don't fully close at night. Like if you look when I close them, there's I mean like if I do this they close, but like this there's usually like a little gap, and so I have to tape them to fully close them. So yeah, Seroquel for autism lifesaver. Yeah, it's good. I use Risperdal and Abilify are the most with the evidence for autism, but Seroquel definitely works too. They all work well. Slightly open. Yeah, I mean, the tape things changed my life. Hi, what's the difference between bipolar and BPD? So think about bipolar like you have three phases. So you have your normal euthymic phase, then you have your manic phase, then you have your depressed phase. And bipolar alternates between those phases, whereas BPD has a lot more fluctuations like day to day or like hour to hour. So bipolar, the mood changes are more like locked in and discrete, and BPD is kind of like up and down. Hey, question about NAC and OCD, recommendations on the side effect of fatigue. Yeah, you can take it. NAC tends to cause more GI issues than anything. Fatigue can also go away over time, but you could also just stack the dose at night too. Initially build up their tolerance at night and then introduce the daytime dosing. So you could do like 600 or 1200 just once a day at night, and then once they get more tolerant of it, then introduce the daytime dose. Also, all right, the questions are definitely rolling in. So I would definitely consider subscribing because then I see like I see those questions more. They stand out more than all the others. because right now they're just like flowing. What do I think about Prestige for anxiety? Yeah, it's good. It probably wouldn't be the first thing I would try. I would try an SSRI first because it can be a little bit activating, which can be bad. But the norepinephrine, like that sympathetic nervous system response, can help people with anxiety. It's almost like, when you might be worrying a lot, but if a saber-toothed tiger comes, you immediately just kind of like snap out of it. You're like, oh crap, like that focuses me. So think about it like that. Clozapine, yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good for the right patient, but it's hard to use. Am I on any meds? I am not. No. View on Spravato for ECT. View on Spravato. Yeah, it's good. I actually just gave, for my NP coaching program, I just gave a lecture. I just wrote the lecture and gave it for Spravato today. And ECT lecture I'm giving tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I think they're good for treatment-resistant depression. Cytophobia is associated with a psychiatric disorder. I'm not sure. What is cytophobia? I don't know a lot of these like fancy terms. We're dumb here. I'm starting sertraline, 25 milligrams tomorrow. I'm terrified. Sertraline is pretty well tolerated, so that's what I would say. And think about why you're taking it, and that will help you power through. If you're starting it tomorrow, right? There's a reason that you're taking the sertraline, and that reason is because you want to get better from something that you're having, right? So focus on that end goal and what you want from it. And just remember, no pain, no gain. Do you think some diagnoses like ADD and ADHD are overdiagnosed? I do, yeah. I definitely do. I think it's nowadays there's a movement where it's like quote unquote cool to have diagnoses. Like I always remember that one patient I had who her mom called me because she was like, "Hey, maybe we should reconsider meds for her because she's posting them all over her social media." Is anafranil being used? I mean, I use anafranil. What's the generic for that? Is that clomipramine? I know it's a TCA. Dang, yeah, I was just lecturing on it today. So, yep, exactly. Trintellix good for treatment-resistant depression. It is, yeah. I like the designer SSRIs and SNRIs a lot. So, yeah, stay tuned for Trintellix content coming out relatively soon. Yeah. Yeah, but like that'll be a lecture in my coaching program too. Can you tell us about schizoaffective disorder? Yeah, so think about schizoaffective disorder like schizophrenia combined with depression and bipolar. So it's like you have the symptoms of schizophrenia on a day-to-day basis, but then you also have uh, pockets where you have depressive symptoms or you have manic bipolar symptoms. So it's essentially schizophrenia combined with a mood disorder. Is it true doctors get kickbacks from big pharma? That is incorrect. They have outlawed that. The most that big pharma can do is bring the office lunch. Like before, they would wine and dine us. Like they would take us on 5-star restaurants, and I've heard of like cruises and trips and box office seats. That was before my time. In my time, we'll get lunch and we'll call it a day. I am very cautious of more diagnoses. I'm clear with bipolar. But PTSD and ADHD, I'd rather wait. I'm not sure what that means. Like, it's not like diagnoses are like candy or something. It's like if you have something, you have something. Have you tried Cobenfy? I have not. No, I don't really treat schizophrenia, right? I do outpatient telehealth, private practice stuff, so that's not the patient population I see. I mean, actually, I do some jail work as well too, but in the prison system, we definitely do not have the budget for Cobenfy. Sienna, exactly. Yep, that's where I got my dry eye glasses. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely changed my life. I was able to come off all of my psych meds because of these dry eye glasses. All not my psych meds, my dry eye meds, because of all my because of these glasses. Did you get a hair transplant? I did. Yes. Uh, if you go through my old videos, then you can literally track when I got the hair transplant, and you can like track my hair growth because I kept making content this whole time. How was your NCLEX? I never took the NCLEX. I have dry eyes too. Literally, it's like such a game changer. Honestly, like that's why like I don't I don't believe in sponsoring products. I think it's kind of like you're selling out, but you're also like like if you look at those TikTok shop girlies, like they're just like selling you shit that they don't really care about, that they're gonna just throw, right? So I think it's just kind of uh, stupid, but this is the only one that I've ever done because I genuinely wear it and use it every single day. Like I would have paid, if I had known the benefit, I would have paid like 5,000 for these, as opposed to like what I paid, which was a fraction of that. How did you get a hair transplant not taking finasteride? I do both. I take finasteride and I got a hair transplant. You know, some of us have more severe issues than others, my friend. The ointment works okay. Biggest improvement was the 3,000 milligrams of fish oil. Yep, I take fish oil. Uh, I take fish oil every single day, or eat a bunch of salmon, one or two. Do I think NPs get good education? Actually, I don't. So that's why I've had so many people come up to me and they told me, "Hey, I want you to be my preceptor. Hey, can you teach me? Hey, I didn't learn anything in NP school. Hey, can I do a rotation with you? Hey, can I shadow you?" Like I get those requests because they're like, I never learned anything and now I'm doing a job, I'm seeing patients, I feel overwhelmed. One of my patients is a PA, and so she told me that she sees like 30 patients a day. I was like, holy crap, like that's so many. So there's no time to staff any cases, right? They're just churning them out. Um, Oftentimes, the psychiatrists you work with are also kind of crappy. So, uh, oftentimes the psychiatrists you work with are kind of crappy. So, they might not sponsor you as well, or like supervise you as well too. So, that's why I literally created a coaching program, was because I'm like, okay, I want to do something, with this knowledge I have. And I got lucky because, I went to residency, right? So I went to med school, went to residency, did fellowship, and I was supervised by other psychiatrists. And like that's how I learned. But if you don't have that direct supervision, you're not going to learn it. Like you can't learn psych from a book. So that's where that direct talk and direct coaching really makes a difference. And so that was part of the reason I started the coaching program, was so I can give live calls and live feedback on your cases. And like every week we discuss cases, uh, like real life cases, and discuss real life use of medications, psychopharm tips that like you're probably not going to find in a book. For example, like Auvelity is a psych med that combines bupropion and dextromethorphan, but you can actually use dextromethorphan and bupropion separately if you know how to use them, and that way you can save the patient like hundreds of dollars, instead of prescribing like the med that just combines them together. You can just prescribe them separately. So that's the advantage of that. So yeah, I would definitely consider joining if you are a psychiatrist, or sorry, if you're a psych NP, PMHP, or PA who really wants to level up their psychiatry knowledge, and you want to learn psych from me and from a psychiatrist. Were you ever on psych meds? I have not taken any psych meds. How come your family? How come your family to the U.S. instead of England? That's funny. I don't know. I mean, I think so. My parents got immigration to Canada, and so that's why they came to uh, the North America, and then I came to America, and then I never looked back. What time do I wake up? I mean, nowadays I wake up at, I mean, because I work for myself now, wake up around 10:30, and I go to bed around 2 a.m. What are your thoughts on assigning several comorbidities such as PTSD, DID, agoraphobia, and generalized anxiety? I mean, I think if people have them, they have them. But if somebody has so many like diagnoses, like just thrown in the chart, it makes me think that either A, they had an incompetent person seeing them. B, they've just like been passed around the mental health system and they've just like picked up diagnoses along the way. Or C, that there's like some underlying diagnosis like BPD or autism or something that explains a lot of that. Because there's definitely a hierarchy with diagnosis. For example, a diagnosis like GAD gets thrown around easily, but a diagnosis like BPD, you just have to be a lot more careful with giving it. And people don't really want it. So, yeah. You're a great dude. Thank you. Do I think there are police officers with bipolar disorder on the force? Yeah, I'm sure there are. Just like there's doctors with bipolar, there's politicians with bipolar, there's every profession with bipolar. Have I heard of weight gain on Vyvanse? No, Vyvanse is used for weight loss, actually. It's used for binge eating. What med for ADHD teen with a lot of behaviors and defiance? Clonidine, Guanfacine, and stimulants as well to make sure that maybe like a Concerta or something. But I would start with Clonidine and Guanfacine first. Why does anxiety cause muscle twitches and jerks? A lot of people manifest their anxiety physically, so it can often cause like muscle tightness. Muscle twitches and jerks, anxiety is not known to do that. So I would probably investigate, see if it's like a little bit deeper, but something else going on. But it can't cause panic attacks, right? It's just because it's a somatic thing. Like anxiety and the body sensations are very well linked. So it could be more like, I mean, it could be more like a fear-based thing rather than just pure anxiety too. But that's where like getting an assessment really makes a difference, right? Because like a psychiatrist can assess you and make sure that you are actually getting a competent assessment as well, because a lot of times people are not getting good competent assessments, they're just getting quick assessments. And so that's why I have a lot of patients actually reach out to me and they'll ask me either for a second opinion or for to do an evaluation with them for this reason. So if that's you, right, you want to get an evaluation done, then I would definitely look at my bio and we can see if we're a good fit to work together. If I doubled my venlafaxine, would that be bad? I mean, I think you should definitely do all your stuff with the doctor. And the only time you would ever double venlafaxine is if you're going from 37.5 to 75 milligrams. Otherwise, like that would be too quick of a titration. What is your favorite SSRI? I like Prozac. Prozac is my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite is because it lasts a while. It's stimulating, so it's helpful in depression. And it has very little withdrawal. So I think that's nice too. And it's very cheap as well. And it has less GI side effects. So I like all of those reasons for it. Yeah. Is haloperidol a good med? Yeah, it's good for depression and or not depression, for psychosis and schizophrenia. That's its main use. I mean, it's a goodie for sure, and for aggression too. Those are the top two reasons we use it. What's the most extreme case of ADHD? So for kids, I remember I had this one kid, and he's like a 12, 13-year-old kid, and like literally this kid, he could not sit so still, like that he would leave the office and go wander around the office hallways, and then he would come in, pop in a lot, then go wander around. Like he was so talkative, chatting up all the staff. Like he literally could not sit still, and it became a problem because he wasn't able to get through schooling and the system at all. And but plus he was very impulsive, so he would get physically aggressive a lot too. But in like with his like he played hockey, so he'd get physically aggressive with his hockey team. Yeah, I just googled it. My bad. I'm French and try to keep up. Nice. No, it's good that you're able to uh, keep up. Comment ça va? What is the best SSRI for anxiety? Uh, I like Viibryd a lot. I also like Zoloft. The higher serotonin ones are better for for anxiety. Trintellix is good too. How long can someone stay on Vivitrol shot? They can stay on it for life. Yeah, we learned so I grew up in Canada, in Montreal or in Ontario, but we learned a little bit of French in Canada. So like from elementary school, middle schoolish. So I still remember some of the phrases, "Comment ça va?" and like "je." The I think it's the conjugations like "je," "tu," "il," "nous," "vous," "il." I went on a trip to Morocco a couple months ago, and one of my buddies who was on the trip, he's French, so he was teaching us some French phrases. What are your thoughts on treating patients with ASD experiencing depression with an anticonvulsant? So we use anticonvulsants in psychiatry pretty frequently. We use Depakote, we use Lamictal. Yeah, those are the top two ones that we use. Oh, we use Tegretol, carbamazepine. So we use some anticonvulsants because they help with mood stability. So yeah, did you like Morocco? I loved it. I loved it. Seeing I think my highlight was so we went to we went desert camping, and basically we took these camels and we took the camels out into the desert, and it was like an hour-long desert ride, and that Sahara Desert is literally the softest sand like I've ever experienced. It like you pick it up and it just flows. Like it's not hard, it just flows. You can walk on the sand barefoot. At least when we went in November, it wasn't searing hot, but it wasn't cool. It wasn't cold either, so you could walk on it barefoot. And then anyway, so the camels took us out to this desert, this camp that was in the desert. And so there we had a bonfire. Like the people who set up, they had prepared a dinner for us. They gave us they had a big bonfire. We had like a bonfire party. And then at that night, and the stars are so clear in the desert. So at night we all took blankets, went out into the desert, and just hung out. And yeah, looked at the stars till like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. Like I'll never forget that. Literally just a one day thing. Rip. Sorry, I lost so many of the questions. Like it just kept scrolling. But yeah, so that's why definitely look at subscribing, because then if you sub, then I'm able to actually see your question more and then prioritize it. Let's see. Where in Ontario did you live? I lived in I lived in a city called London, Ontario. So basically, what my story was that when I was 3, we moved from India to Canada, and then so I went to elementary school, middle school, high school in Canada, and then I remember coming home one day, and my dad was like, "Oh, we're moving to Alabama," and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's happening." And so we moved from right after high school prom. I went to Alabama, and then my parents were like, "Okay, we hate Alabama," so they left Alabama, and then they came back they came to Michigan, which is close to Alabama, or close to Canada, sorry. And but I was like, "Hey, I like Alabama. Like, I'm in college. Like, all my friends are here." So I stayed there for college, stayed there for med school, and then went up to Michigan for residency. And so I did my residency up there, and then I wanted to move to a big city, so I did my child fellowship in New York, and yeah, then I stayed after my fellowship. So yeah, When you leave Michigan, come to Kai. No, I think come to New York. That's the place to be. Kai's. I mean, I do like Chicago. The last time I was there in Chicago was I think a year and a half ago. I had a wedding to go to, so I mean, I wanted to go to the wedding, and yeah, it was a great wedding. And then I think we explored the city a bit. Went to, I mean, I love River North, especially in the summertime. Love the water there too. Are you comfortable sharing what medication you are taking? I don't take any meds. Well, I don't take any psychiatric meds. The only meds I take are hair loss meds, like finasteride and minoxidil. And I guess I take Singular and allergy medication, Zyrtec. Yeah, but I've never taken psychiatric meds. Do you travel a lot? Do you like road trips? Are you more like an inclusive? So, no, good question. So, uh, let's see. The last trip I went on was Vermont. Basically, we went skiing, and so there we drove, but that was a trip. So if I'm with my friends, then I'd rather do like I don't really do all inclusive type of stuff. I do more like destinations, like we go places. But if I'm with my family likes all inclusive, and so they just go to these random like places. Like we went on a cruise this past Christmas. I think we went to Mexico last year, and like that's what they like. So like those I just hop on with my family. But if I'm going with my friends, like that, we definitely like do more like pick a destination, pick attractions to do. Like we went to Vermont for like skiing, but then we also went snowmobiling. That was more like a fun little ski trip that we did. And then yeah, in Morocco, that was like an 8-day trip. So we saw the gladiator spot right where that was filmed. Um, Went ATVing, deserting, yeah, camel riding. Didn't get to go sand surfing, unfortunately, but next time. My knees could never rip. Are you from a medical family? I'm not. No, I have no. My parents are engineer, or my mom is a housewife. She had a furniture business for a bit, but now she does real estate. So she basically took care of us until we were like 10, and then she went into a furniture store, and then she did some real estate, and now I'm teaching her how to do my coaching program. So like I'm getting her involved in the business, and my dad, no, my dad's an engineer. So no, I was never part of the medical family. Hey, today is day 12 on Lexapro, and day was rough. Is that normal? Yeah, sometimes it can take a couple weeks to get through it. I would say definitely focus on the positives rather than the negatives. There's a thing called the expectation effect, where basically it's like where you focus your attention is what happens. So it's like bias training, right? Like it's that saying, if you see a red car, if you think about a red car, you see more red cars on the road. So basically you see where your attention goes. So focus your attention on what you're improving and what's getting better, rather than focusing on what is wrong. Where are all the supplements you take? So here, I'll just show you. Actually, I have them. So what I do for supplements is I arrange them in like a 1 to 30 thing. And so I have this, right? And then for my supplements, so I divide them all out. Basically, I have some testosterone supplements. So I think there's a couple that are my testosterone ones, just boosters. I have a couple multivitamin ones. Got vitamin D. I have my finasteride, my minoxidil. Yeah, I got those. And then fish oil, but fish oil doesn't fit in that, so I have to use that separately. But yeah, those are the main ones that I personally take. And I take iron as well too. So mainly just these. I take the foundational ones, which is multivitamin and fish oil. And then I take targeted ones for my specific issues. Is it possible that someone takes an antidepressant and it does nothing but side effect because that person doesn't need it? Yeah, it's totally possible. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that antidepressants will more like they'll help you if there's something that you have to like come from. Like if there's like a a valley that you have to rise from, right? But if you're already doing pretty good, then I think you'll just get side effects. With every kind of med, there's always a risk-benefit analysis. So all you're trying to do with a medication is just get a better benefit profile than a risk profile. Then that's it. How is Rexulti Abilify different from other antipsychotics? So Rexulti and Abilify are very stimulating. So they're better taken in the morning. They're also better taken, they last a while, so you can take them once a day. You don't have to take them twice a day. They also work a lot for mood issues rather than just pure psychosis. And the main side effect that they can have is akathisia or restlessness. That's the most common one with that. I understand. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. Are you on are you on the spectrum? I don't think I'm on the spectrum. Testosterone supplement. No, it's not a supplement of, it's not testosterone itself. It's like a supplement to help boost testosterone. So it's made of ashwagandha, tonkat ali, boron, zinc. Basically, it's more testosterone boosting, like to promote my own natural testosterone rather than pure testosterone. How was psych residency clinicals 4th year like? Curious what made you want to go into psych. So it depends, like, are you a med student, a college kid, high schooler? Because then the answer I give will be different, right? Based on where your life stage is. No disheveled hair today. The comb over is nice. Appreciate it. Yeah. Can I take sertraline for life? You can. It's always a risk benefit. So if I would try to just, and if you feel like you're doing better, you can try to come off. If you do well, great. But if you don't come off, then you can, then I've patients who stayed on it because it really helps them. I just broke up with my husband. I feel better. Dang it, I'm sorry to hear you broke up with your husband. Hope you're doing okay. That's a big change. What do I prescribe for severe OCD? Mainly, I like Luvox a lot. Luvox and sertraline are my go-tos for severe OCD, and clomipramine too. What are the key differences between mania and hypomania and hyperactivity from ADHD? ADHD hyperactivity is like a constant thing. Mania and hypomania is more like it's discrete, it's in phases. So it lasts for 4 to 7 days, maybe 14 days. But it goes down. Whereas like hyperactivity happens all the time. I am a pre-med in undergrad right now and double majoring in biology and psych right now. Nice, yeah. So for me, I was a pre-med science major. I knew that I wanted to use something with my science degree that could make me financially successful. I knew I had the academic capability, so that's the practical reason why I went to med school. Psych was more of a personal thing, right? Choosing a specialty. I was always more the listener in my friend group rather than the talker. So I was like other people talking, and I liked hearing other people's problems as well. Like if one of my friends would break up, I'd be the person who would go hang out with them afterward. We'd I would go over to the house and let's say I'd bring over a 6-pack or play some video games or something but that's what I did in college. So I was always kind of that more emotionally supportive friend. And then I also realized that I'd grown my own confidence and when I was in college too. I became more social, more confident around girls, more confident around popular guys, right? So all of that kind of teenage college dynamics. So I changed all that, and then I realized that I can change my own life if I take the right actions. I joined a fraternity, and that really helped get me out of my shell. And I realized I can help other people as well too, knowing how they can change their mind. So all those things just pretty much combined, and yeah, led us to yapping on this thing on a Friday night. At least you didn't take him to the club. Yeah, I hate the club. The the club is mainly beneficial, and like only girls get enjoyment and benefit out of the club. If any guy tells you he likes the club, he's lying to you. Guys just go like, okay, I'm like, unless it's a gay guy, but like straight guys do not like the club, and if they tell you they like the club, they are lying to you, and they're only telling you, or they're only going because you're going. Right. See, like exactly, this is a perfect example. Let's go to Tao. I have a section. Yeah, every attractive girl in like a big city has a section, right? So it's like, as a guy, like, like girls just get this stuff handed to them, whereas a guy you don't, right? So there's no advantage for guys to go to the club, unless like you already come in like with a section. That's the only advantage of a guy going to a club. But usually the guy has to pay for the section. Girls are recruited by promoters to go to the section. So that's the difference. You are so true to yourself. I like it. Don't change. I appreciate it. Yes, it's like it's to go fishing. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like to go fishing versus to, yeah. But night fishing sucks, TBH. I mean, it's just a game, you know? That's just a game. This is when we get into the real stuff, the real social dynamics. Unless you go into the Costco club. Yeah, the Costco club. That's where you want to go. You know, Instacart is on Costco nowadays. I just found this out a couple months ago, and now I can't go back. Like I used to get food from like at a local deli, but then I found out about Instacart, and then boom, like, or found out about Costco and Instacart, and now that's where I get all my salmon and broccoli. It's just from Instacart. I have ADHD and bad social anxiety. I'm scared to meet new people. What do I do? I have ADHD and bad social anxiety. I'm scared to meet new people. Oh, so you have to do what's called exposure. Basically, you have to get yourself out there. So, like, for example, for me, like when I went to high school and college, I could hang out with like nerds and gamers pretty easily. But when I wanted to hang out with more like cool people, like that scared me. And especially like the jocks, and so I joined a fraternity, and like for the first like 6 months, honestly, to like a year, like I was really awkward around a lot of people, like in my chapter. And then, over time, I started going to more events, started doing stuff together. Like we started really trying to make the chapter better. I became the scholarship chair, and so I was really invested in like helping our members improve the grades, like as part of the exec board. So we meet every week, but that made me care a lot more. And then like I just became way more comfortable around everyone, and like now, like now I don't care. Like now I don't get really uncomfortable around any kind of person, but that's from the exposure, right? I gave myself exposure, and from that exposure, it helped. So if you have social anxiety, you have to give yourself exposure to that situation, and then that way your brain tells you, hey, it's okay. Does being a psychiatrist hinder or impact your social skills? I mean, so there's so much nuance to that. Actually, there's so much nuance. Does being a psychiatrist hinder or impact your social skills? So I think it makes you better at observing. It makes you better at listening. I think it makes you more, I guess. I think my social skills overall have gone better because I implement my conversation secret as I implement a tactic called reflective listening, where basically whenever someone talks, I'll repeat like the last couple of sentences, last couple of words they say, or I'll make a question about it, because most people just want to yap, right? So, but then it also makes them feel heard, and so then they just carry on. So, for example, they're like, "Oh yeah," and then this lady Julie, like, she's terrible, and she said this to me, and then you could say, she said that to you, and then they're like, yeah, and then they go on like 5 minute tangent on that, and then they're like, and then I hate her on her Stanley mug, and you're like, it's her Stanley mug, and they're like, yeah, like she's always carrying around the Stanley mug. But basically the point is, it's really easy to let people talk, which is nice, but then the problem I run into is that I don't really like talking. So I know, right? Like, shocker. But I don't really like talking, and so then I am the more quieter one in social situations. So I have to like kind of go out and like socialize. I have to make myself talk. But then the problem is that when you're a psychiatrist, you can get good at like clinical talk or like therapy talk, but that's not the same as like day to day like conversation with your friends or like social conversations or like in a romantic context or like shit with the boys, right? Like those aren't the same conversations. So being a psychiatrist does not prepare you for that kind of interaction. So that's that's the nuanced pros and cons answer. How do you learn to listen more? I mean, I enjoy it. Like the way I learn to listen more. Actually, this is a good topic for my coaching program. I'm gonna write that down. How to listen better. Yeah, that's actually a good YouTube video topic as well. But I think this will be a good topic for my coaching program. YouTube, how to listen better. So the way that I listen better is by adopting genuine curiosity about what people and like what they're saying. So like I've always liked stories, like like reading books. I always like stories and video games, movies, and that kind of thing. So when you talk to a person, it's like you're still listening. It's like they're like a movie or a game or like a book because they're sharing their own story, just like you listen to a story in a book. And just like in a book, you're reading because you're curious, you want to know what happens. So it's the same thing with people. So like I like listening, and it's easy for me because I'm actually curious and interested in what they're saying, and then they sense that interest in like that genuine interest, and then that makes them want to share more and talk more, and then you can develop that rapport where they feel really comfortable around you. So yeah, I would say that's the number one underrated tip on how to listen more is be genuinely curious. And that's actually also what got me into psych, because then we would learn about people's mental health traits, and not, or sorry, about like we would learn more about their actual life rather than their, just like their medical problems. So that's why I liked psych as well too. My point is the cool people is a silly construct. It's cool to be uncool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine as an adult, like you realize that. But when you're in your early 20s, like you want to be cool and you want to be well liked, and especially when you're in high school. So it's a different game than it is once you get older. That's a double-edged sword when you only get 15 minutes with patients. So see, you actually don't get 15 minutes with, see, I don't get 15 minutes with patients because that's why I do private practice, right? So I see all my clients for 90 minutes for intakes, and I see them for 30 to 60 minutes follow-up, depending on if we're doing therapy or not. So yeah, I think that's why people choose to work with me, is because they want more of that deeper connection. And they want to work more closely rather than just kind of coming in, checking off a checkbox, and then moving out. So, if that kind of clinical care interests you, then definitely look at booking a consult in my bio as well. Do you have days where you feel more talkative and days where it's more quiet? Yeah, of course. Of course. All the time. Yeah, yeah. Me, like I run on the quiet side. Like I don't need social interaction. Like I literally don't. Like I'm it's just so funny. Like I'm at my parents' house right now, and literally like the only thing I've missed about being in New York is my game. There's a game I have. It's called Marvel Rivals, and I play with my cousins and my sister, and I miss playing it. And sometimes I'll watch like gameplay videos of it, but like I don't miss like the social interaction stuff. Like I like it, but I don't miss it, if that makes sense. So I know I'm more naturally introverted, and yeah, it is what it is. But I do like New York social life. Like it's definitely, I think it's some of the best, and I do like being a part of it. But I don't miss it. The young people you see their parents pay, usually, yeah. Usually, I have a lot of moms reach out to me for their sons. That's very common. I love your teeth. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, keep it clean. Have you ever had a scary experience with a psych patient? So I was punched one time. Like it wasn't scary, but it did occur. So I remember I was in my second year of residency. I was inpatient call, and we had a lady, let's say like I think she was mid 30s or something, and so she was bipolar. So she was there for a manic episode. She was very elevated, like very talkative. Uh, wouldn't go to bed. It was like 11 p.m. and they were the staff was trying to usher her into a room. She just wouldn't go. She would just keep pacing the halls. And so they asked me to see her. So I went to go see her and start chatting with her. And like eventually I'm able to convince her to go to her room. And so she goes to her room, and I'm like, okay, thank God, like we made it. And I vividly remember this, like I'm standing in the doorway, she's in her room, and like I'm at the doorway, so I'm like, okay, good, we got her there. And I'm like about to back up, and so she's like looking at me, and because she's standing right in front of me, but then she starts looking like past me, and then she says something like, "Oh, like the devil." And she like straight up punches me, and so I step back, and so all the staff was there, and like they saw this go down, so they rushed her, and then they gave her an injectable, right, and then she was able to fall asleep afterward from that. Like I didn't get hurt or anything, but it that was the first time I got hit in a psych setting. It's always inpatient, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Maybe you like arms like kind of conversation. No, I like good conversations. I need to go out every other day. Staying home drives me insane. Yeah, everyone's different. Like, I like chilling. Like only, I remember when I was in med school, one of my favorite times was actually it's called step one. Basically, it's like this like board exam that you have to take, and they give you about a month off to go study for it and to take it. And so that was one of my favorite times in med school, was because I got to literally control my whole schedule. So instead of me going to class when they will want me to go, and like doing these like we had to do a whole bunch of team-based learning stuff, I literally would just go to class, or sorry, I would literally just like study whenever, and do whatever, like, I plan my whole schedule. But for that whole month, the only time I left was I would leave the house was to go to the gym. And like, the same thing today, like I literally left just to go to the gym. But that's it. So yeah, everyone's different, right? You got to know what suits you. Like, so, one of my really good friends in New York, he's the opposite. Like, so he helps, he like we go on trips a lot. So like, he planned the Morocco trip that we went on. And yeah, like he's a huge extrovert, and so he loves going out. And yeah, so he's always like, I always need to be doing stuff. So everyone's different. They gave me sertraline for morning and mirtazapine to sleep. That's okay. Yep, totally cool. Do you think video games make kids less smart or not necessarily? So the way that video games work is that they pretty much just flood dopamine in your system, and like I love gaming. Like I still enjoy it, but I can't really do it much because I lose productivity in my life, right? Because if you think about it, but dopamine is the chemical that that gives you motivation. So let's say if I'm trying to work on my business, if I'm trying to study, if I'm trying to read a book, if I'm trying to uh, do like some kind of work task, I'm trying to account, I'm trying to do my taxes, then that gives you like X amount of dopamine, like a low amount. Video games give you like way much dopamine here. And the problem with dopamine is that tolerance establishes very quickly. So if you get a little bit of dopamine here and a whole bunch of dopamine from video games, then you start gaming too much, and then you have so much dopamine tolerance here that the little activities don't give you that much motivation anymore. So you have to be very careful, because if you do too much, you can build up a tolerance. So the way that I like to do is like, I'll do never start your day with gaming, because then it's way harder to do the productive tasks you have to, because you've already shot up your dopamine here. So I like to save it more towards like the middle of the end of the day to the end of the day. That way it's like I get all my productive stuff done. And then, I've only used up like this much dopamine. So now if I want to flood my dopamine a little bit, I can do that, and it's okay. Right? That's why, like, you never usually go do, for example, you don't go out for drinks and fun like during the day and then be productive at night. Right? Like usually I find that, like, if I go out with my friends to brunch and stuff, then the whole day is kind of gone, because I don't really want to do something after I've done that. But if if I do like all my productive stuff during the day, then at night, like, you can go out and be fine. Because then you get the higher dopamine stuff and it's okay. So it's basically to answer your question, gaming is all about implementing it into your life. And so what helped me was that I just think about life like a video game. So that's the game I'd rather play. Would you say that haloperidol deck is a good dose? 200? Yeah, it's good. Should you be taking iron daily? Only if you're anemic. Or not even anemic, if you have an iron deficiency. You can still have an iron deficiency, but not be anemic. Like, I have an iron deficiency, but I'm not anemic, so I take it. Have you read The Silent Patient? I have not. Is it normal to have any relief or positives yet on day 12 of Lexapro? Yeah, it can take a little bit too. Maybe the dose needs to be increased, but it's hard to say. Right, it's hard to say without knowing your specific situation. So a balance is the key, of course, right? Like, of course, it's just like with anything in life. Balance it's always key. What's an adequate age to allow kids to play video games? That's such a good question, but it's so hard. There's no adequate age, right? Like, I mean, like, if I think about my life, I started playing when I was 5 or 6 years old. I remember my first game ever was Pokemon Yellow. I got it as a Christmas present with the Game Boy Advanced. So that was my first Christmas present ever. And so I've been playing for, since I was a kid, and, I feel like I turned out all right. And there's other people who play later and they don't turn out all right either, right? So it just depends on how well your kid can integrate it. Nowadays, every kid's probably gaming so early because of the phones, and they all have access to gaming. So an adequate age is basically whatever age, you're the parent, right? So an adequate age would be when you feel that your kid is able to handle it, and you can observe them for signs of handling it too. I don't think I got a proper psych evaluation. Yeah, so I've had a lot of patients say that, and that's why they come to me for second opinions too. So if that interests you, right, you want to get a second opinion, then I would definitely look at booking a consult in my bio. You are less than 30 years old, right? No, I'm 31, believe it or not. Is microdosing a thing yet? I don't believe so. They use it a little bit for like psychedelic assisted psychotherapy, but it's not really a thing. It's more of a fringe thing for sure. Can PTSD cause a bipolar episode? Yeah, it could. Anything. It could be a trigger for it. The Silent Patient is one of my favorite mystery and thrillers. Nice. It's a book or like a show? What med could be good to try for anxiety and depression with the occasional panic attack? You'd want to go with an SSRI. That's what would target all of those things. How important is exposure and anxiety? Pretty important. I mean, it's exposure, but it's also redirecting your thoughts as well, too. You want to be able to redirect your thoughts. That's important as well. If you don't, one of my patients that I'm working with, right? So we talked about having negative thoughts and like redirecting them. And so, the advice I gave him was that imagine your thoughts are like a garden. And so in the garden, you have like nice flowers and grass and stuff that grows, and that's the stuff you want in your garden. But there's also weeds that grow in the garden, and we don't want the weeds. So if there's too many weeds, if there's weeds in the garden, that's the negative thoughts, right? So the way to get rid of the weeds is you don't want them to fester. So you want to take out the weeds as soon as they start growing, as soon as you notice them. So it's the same thing with your negative thoughts. What happens to most people is they'll have like an anxiety thought or a negative thought, and then it'll spiral, just go down and just get worse and worse, right? And then it's way harder to come out of when you're down in the spiral. So if you think of another analogy, is like if you have a snowball and the snowball's over here, and so it's pretty small, but then as it starts rolling down this hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what we want to do is we want to catch the snowball here. We want to catch it before it becomes big, and big. So that's where mindfulness comes in. So if you're able to catch the thought, and then you're able to redirect that thought to a positive thought or something that benefits you, always ask yourself, like, does this thought I'm having benefit you? If it does, great, keep it. If it doesn't, remove that thought, and remove it by switching it to like changing that thought, change it to the opposite. And what you're doing there is you're taking that weed out from the garden before it grows. How common are second opinions in psychiatry? Very, very common. Literally happen all the time. I see a ton of second opinion cases. Like I saw one, I think last week or the day before, or like last week, the guy, he said he'd been diagnosed with bipolar, and he was diagnosed with it and got treated with bipolar, and he was on bipolar meds, and I looked at him and like did an eval, and I was like, yo, I don't think you're bipolar. Like, I think this is more PTSD. So totally, and he was like, yeah, I agree. I don't think I have bipolar symptoms. He said this last psychiatrist saw him for 30 minutes as an intake and then prescribed him that stuff. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. So, yeah, I see second opinions all the time. And oftentimes people have the wrong diagnosis. Mind is very powerful. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you literally, your mind can control so much. I mean, we know in medicine the placebo effect is a thing. If you believe it will, right, if you believe the medication will be successful, it will be successful. Another thing is two doctors or two providers could recommend the same psych treatment, but if you like the one provider better and you feel like you have a better connection with them, you'll get more improvement from the first provider, even though the treatments could be exactly the same. What antipsychotic is best for ADHD? Antipsychotics are not used for ADHD. They're used for schizophrenia and bipolar and some mood stuff. Stimulants are used for ADHD. What is good in combination with Vyvanse for emotional sensitivity? I'm not sure. Emotional sensitivity, I'm not sure what that means. Like, are you overly emotional or under emotional? Absolute favorite anxiety med with little side effects. It depends if you're talking like short term or long term. Long term, like, would probably be like maybe an SSRI like Viibryd. Short term would be propranolol. What to take for phobia of flight? I mean, that's a case where like benzos are used frequently, like Xanax or Ativan or something, just because it's a very self-limited scenario. You give your patient your vibe. It's important you give them a good vibe so it's less stressful for them. Yeah. And that's why I think it's like the fit is very important in psych. And that's why I like social media a lot, is because then people are able to screen out if things are a good fit, right? Like, so if you like me, you like my content, you feel like we'd work well together, then those patients seek me out and they'll they want me to be their psych. But if you feel like it wouldn't be a good fit, then you just don't do it, and it works out either way. Whereas if you just go to some random practice, then you just get assigned some doc, and like you don't know how it's gonna work out for you. Yeah. Do I think it's worth it to go to med school now? No, I do not, unless your mind is set on being a doctor. I think if you're just interested in finances, like making money, there's way better and easier ways to make money. Knowing what I know now, especially with the internet. I mean, back then it was a different thing, but now if you have the internet at your disposal, then there's much better ways to make money, and quite frankly, there's much better ways to help people too. Medicine's not the only way to help people, and now it's been taken over by industry, right? Pharma, Medicare reimbursements going down. There's more knowledge you have to know than ever. I think physicians get less respect than they ever did. The student loans are way getting higher too. Like I told you, like literally, I'm trying to get different state licenses, and they all cost like $1,000, and like some of them charge you more and more. So, student loans are getting way, tuition's like skyrocketing, right? And you're also giving up a decade of your life too, of your 20s. So, yeah, that's like the reals behind it. Hey, what's up? Hey, you're hopping over, huh? Is quinine good for restless legs and spasms? If you have restless legs, you want to check out iron first. Iron deficiency is the most common cause for restless legs. What neurotransmitter is responsible for focus and energy? It's dopamine. Dopamine and norepinephrine. I mean, it's fine. How would you treat a patient with ADHD and OCD? So I would want to target the OCD first because the ADHD will be secondary to the OCD. Or sorry, the ADHD, if you try to treat that with a stimulant, it won't be as good as if you treat it with OCD. let me rephrase that. My mind is getting shot. You need to treat the OCD before you treat ADHD, because if you treat ADHD first with the stimulant, you can worsen the OCD. Therefore, you want to stabilize the OCD, and that often of itself can improve the ADHD. How do I know the meds are working? I think you'll know, because you start noticing differences in your mood, anxiety, etc. Can you explain PTSD, PTSD, recently diagnosed, want a better explanation? Yeah, so C-PTSD, think about it like it's chronic PTSD. So basically, instead of just having one incident like a war or like a car crash, you have multiple chronic instances that contribute to those symptoms. So usually it has to do with childhood stuff, childhood trauma, repeated traumas, that type of thing. And so when you have those that occur, those can cause the traumatic response that people have. So that's the best way to think about it. And so it can cause symptoms like hyperarousal, hypervigilance, low mood, constantly scanning threats, that type of thing. What is the best antipsychotic medication that won't interact with Addison's disease meds? I mean, I'm not too familiar with Addison's disease, so I don't know what the meds are for that. It's the cortisol one, right? I think it's like the adrenals aren't working. So, but I don't think most antipsychotics don't really interact with them. Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Just started week 4 of Wellbutrin XL 150, no day. Oh yeah, Wellbutrin might take a couple weeks to work, not just like a day or two. What do we think of therapists? I mean, they're good. They help. We work in conjunction with therapists all the time. They just address the field in a different way. Is it true that bipolar can be a lack of vitamins? I mean, that could trigger it, but I don't think it's from a lack of vitamins. I think that's big supplement coming at you. You know, that's so funny. Like, people always say, like, natural holistic stuff, right? You know, oh, big pharma. Yet big supplements also an industry. But everyone forgets that. Okay, but what if the ADHD is preventing the patient from being successful with ERP for OCD? I think you need high-dose SSRIs for OCD. ERP may not be enough. Is nervous of germs OCD? I mean, define nervousness versus impacting your life significantly. Prilla Psychiatric Care shared the live. Thank you. First go-to SSRI. I don't have a go-to. It depends on what the condition I'm treating is. For example, if it's low energy, then I'll do depression or Prozac. If I'm treating more anxiety, Zoloft. If I'm doing more OCD, Luvox. If I need just lowest side effects, Lexapro. If they've tried one or two things and finances aren't a concern, then Viibryd. So yeah, it just depends. If they need more stimulation, they've already tried an SSRI, then I'd go with an SNRI. Or if they have ADHD plus depression or anxiety, then I'd go SNRI. If they have chronic pain plus anxiety or depression, then Cymbalta. So you see there's nuance to this, and that's what separates a psychiatrist from, let's say, a PCP who might just say, hey, whatever, here's my go-to, right? And that's not their fault. That's not their knowledge base. But, like, you know, we're the experts for SSRIs and antidepressants, so that's where that nuance really comes in. I always think of it daily, like everything's dirty. Yeah, that's an OCD thing for sure. Like the contamination. Like I had a patient tell me the other day that, she thinks everything's dirty. She has to use her hand sanitizer whenever she touches something. She's spending like an hour, or not an hour, but like a full minute washing her hands. So, yeah, it's definitely a thing. Uh, how does an SNRI work? Thoughts on Lexapro? It's great. Yeah, Lexapro is good. Any recommendations for an OCD? Yeah, N-acetylcysteine, NAC. That's what you want to use, NAC. Is propranolol the best drug for restlessness and akathisia? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's one of the good go-to ones that we use for restlessness. Do I see patients? Yeah, I do see patients. All my details are in my bio. So if you click my bio, that's where you can find all the details and you can book a consult. I have a headache right now. It might be dehydrated. I'm struggling coming off Effexor down to 6.25. You can't really get to 6.25 of Effexor. The lowest dose is 37.5. Saw your vid. Okay. Paid the consult. Okay. So my assistant will contact you, and then we'll schedule a call. And that way, once we have our call, then we can see where to go from there. Some questions are brain rot. Yeah, brain rot's a real thing. Like, I think social media is fucking the generation today. Like, people are just consuming mindless content. One of the content creators I follow was talking about how it's so hard to make a video that's just pure educational because people don't want to watch it. Like, they just want to watch like lights and flashiness, and they just want to scroll just like, every 2 seconds. Like, if a video doesn't hook you in 2 seconds, it'll immediately scroll, right? So unfortunately, the problem is you're training yourself to be more ADHD that way, because you're literally training the dopamine instead of saying, no, I'm going to stick with the video for a while. What about the tapering, stopping of fluoxetine side effects? Actually, that's the easiest med to taper, the easiest SSRI. So that one you can just stop directly. I still taper it just because some of my patients, just for psychological reasons, patients like when you taper stuff. So, so for some people, I'll definitely taper fluoxetine, but you don't have to. You can come off it very quickly. What is a good alternative med for panic disorder that's not a benzo, other than propranolol? You can use hydroxyzine. You can use L-theanine as well, too. L-theanine is a supplement. You will feel like you are on a boat, like rocking, like seasickness, or like a cruise ship that has lots of nice free food. Is scared of being psychiatrist, is being scared of getting psychosis OCD? It can be. Depends on how debilitating it is. I'm in this right now, lost for balance. Oh no. Yeah, maybe a scopolamine could help, like one of those patches that they use, the balance patches that they use for seasickness. It could help. Can I set you up with my dude? She's an Indian psychiatrist. Oh Lord. That sounds like a that sounds like we'd have the most boring conversations. Hydroxyzine, L-theanine. Will I feel like I'm sailing? No, I don't think you'll feel like you're sailing. What dose of lithium is normally given to get into the therapeutic window? It depends on your weight. There's no therapy. The therapeutic dose depends on your level too, which depends on your metabolism. There's no actual therapeutic dose of lithium. There's no typically a dose might go from 600 to 1500, but it depends on the patient. 600 to 2000. It's already making me agitated. I'm taking 20 milligrams per day. Are you trying to stop it, or are you trying to go off of it? That's been the issue scheduling in West Coast anyway. Okay, just send my assistant an email. That's the best way to do it. 6 a.m. PST time zone, West Coast. Yeah. Either send her an email or there's a contact form on my website as well, and you can do it through that contact form too. Date my sister. She's a Daisy psychiatrist. Why would I? I don't want to date myself. Do I use lithium often? I use it occasionally, but it's good for bipolar. Yeah, stopping it. Yeah, then yeah, it's pretty easy to come off of it. It's pretty easy to come off that Prozac, thankfully. You ever shocked NMS in ICU? Uh, no. I've only seen NMS once, and they were in the ER, but you don't shock them. You give them fluids. An adolescent with severe anxiety and ADHD, would you treat anxiety first? Yeah, I generally would, unless the anxiety comes from ADHD, then I would treat the ADHD first. Without lithium, I would be very messed up. Yeah, I mean, it's considered the gold standard for bipolar, so it's not for everyone, but if it works, it definitely works. What's good for agoraphobia? For agoraphobia, it's exposure therapy and SSRIs. How do I know if anxiety comes from ADHD? Basically, you try to figure out what came first. For example, let's say I have a kid who says, "Hey, I feel like I can't prepare, and like I struggle in all my classes, and that makes me nervous." So I'm like, okay, well, if it's centered mostly around like performance and doing stuff, then it's more ADHD likely related. Like, I had a kid like that. We started her on ADHD treatment and she did very, very well. But then you have the other case where they might just have a lot of anxiety because they experience it in all areas or a lot of different areas. And then when we treat the anxiety, they're able to focus better and they're able to get their work done easier. So it's a little nuance. Depression not getting better. With 20 milligrams of escitalopram, is this treatment-resistant depression? Um, yeah, so sometimes the right meds don't work for people, or sometimes like escitalopram doesn't work. Yeah, and my mind's definitely getting shot. Um, Sometimes escitalopram, if 20 milligrams is not working, may need to be taken to a higher dose, like 30. Sometimes it may not be the right fit. Sometimes it may not be the right dose. Sometimes it may be, you may have the wrong diagnosis. So there could be different reasons why your escitalopram is not working. So, that's why I actually have a lot of people that come to me for second opinions and stuff like that. They're like, hey, my med's not working. What do I do? What is going on here? Is it just me? Is it the med? And yeah, so if you're having that situation, you want to get a second opinion, then that's where I would, yeah, book a consult. Why do I feel like you're getting tired? You laugh easily. Yeah, because there's less restraint now. It's kind of like, when you when you drink or party or something, right? You're laughing more because there's less inhibition of your frontal lobe, so you're less in control of yourself. So that's why you kind of let out your emotions a little bit more. So that's the reason why kids laugh a lot, because their frontal lobes aren't functioning. But as adults, we have good frontal lobes, and so we suppress a lot of our natural inner personality. Oh, I'm so tired. Yeah. My goal, pretty much, I think I'm just gonna wrap up for a little bit, or wrap up for today, and just watch a little bit of TV. I've been watching this show called Severance. That's the latest thing I've been watching. Uh, I was watching Daredevil. That I was watching that a little bit, and because there's a new season out, and then Last of Us Part Two season comes out this Sunday. So those are the main shows I've been just rocking. I think I have an underdeveloped frontal lobe. Uh, that's not good. Watch Farzi. Let's see how long. I think we've been live for 99 minutes. That's that's a while. Thoughts on Velacidone? I actually just did a lecture on Velacidone today. What's the concept of Velacidone? White Lotus, to show White Lotus. Nice, appreciate it. SSRIs don't have an effect on me, that's why I'm on carbamazepine. Yeah, a lot of people need mood stabilizers. That's the benefit of that. Medication most effective to treat frontal lobe TBI? Probably stimulants. How common is Steven Johnson with Lamictal? It's not common, but it can happen. Like, it is a thing. So you just need to make sure that you're titrating slowly. You don't want to be titrating too quick. So yeah, that's the main thing. But yeah, I hope this was this is fun. Hope this was helpful. And I didn't even I was gonna do my outro, but then I started laughing. Yeah, so pretty much, right, if you're an NP or a PA, right, you want to learn from me, then yeah, definitely look at joining our coaching program. We had 50 people join in the last 3 weeks that we've had it. So it's growing, right? And it's definitely for people who want to level up their psychiatry knowledge. And you feel like you don't get good supervision or something in the outpatient world, or you really feel like you never learned anything in school, and you want to discuss cases with a psychiatrist to actually improve your practice. So that's the kind of person that we want in our program. And if you want to consult, right, you want a second opinion, or you want to work with me, you feel like I could help you, then definitely book a consult. It's in all, both those links are in my bio, and yeah, we can see if we're a good fit to work together. So otherwise, I shall see you tomorrow.